Welcome everybody, this is Channel 8, the local sports network, in association with our partners, Bizz, 99.9 FM Substitute Radio. I am your host, Chukka Wilson, and I'm joined by my co-host and co-commentator, Damien, Hayden, Haydos. Welcome, Haydos.
G'day, Chukka. Glad to be here on what's a lovely day here in Diamond Creek.
Absolutely. So this is the second day of the round 3 clash in the F2 division, Diamond Creek 2 versus Lower Plenty at the Mangrook Oval. So last week we had day 1. Now Diamond Creek batted first and were bowled out for a measly score of 43, and then Lower Plenty had a bat and they were able to claim first innings points before the lunch break, and they continued to bat into the second session, reaching stumps at 5 for 121 after 46 overs. And so Lower Plenty were batting at stumps with a lead of about in the 70s, and now we're coming into day 2, and so obviously the question is, what are Lower Plenty going to do? They are the ones that are in the driving seat, they have all the cards in play, and so it's a question of what the Lower Plenty tactics are, what the Lower Plenty captain's mentality is, as to what will happen today.
Well, there's a couple of thoughts that come to mind there. I thought about this across the week there, which the consensus was when we finished up our telecast last week was that O'Connor would declare pretty much straight away. However, what last night actually proved Diamond Creek's fight back was that Lower Plenty's middle to low water probably needs actually a bit more batting practice. So don't be surprised if they even consider, say, a 5 or 10 over patch, a bit more batting practice, and then declare giving himself plenty of time.
Definitely. It's all about balance, because clearly bowling them out for 43 within just 20-something overs was a remarkable performance, and obviously you wouldn't expect to do it as well again, but then again you would expect to do a reasonable imitation of it, maybe taking 30, 35, 40 overs to bowl them out for a second time, maybe for a 70 or 80, 90, 100. And so the question would be, how do you work out the maths for that? One option would be to declare overnight, try to bowl out Diamond Creek for 80 and then chase down the last 10 runs for victory. Another one would be to bat for a little bit more, get to 100 and then try to win by an innings and nothing. Or bat for an hour and then try and win by an innings and 10 runs. But of course, that would lead a risk, because the later you declare, the more chance you give Diamond Creek of drawing the game and saving it.
Exactly right there. O'Connor's pulled all the right moves so far this season for Lower Plenty there. The one thing he hasn't had is the challenge of his batting order being tested, especially that middle to low order, which he got for the first time, and so far they've actually failed, in all honesty there. While they flex their muscles there throughout the majority of day 1, Diamond Creek definitely fought back there. So look, the consensus is still with declaring overnight. I think Diamond Creek is certainly prepared for that. I had a chat with skipper Dave Ramsey, and he's certainly prepared for his side batting first there. However, maybe it is just going to be mind games to bat those 5 or so overs.
Yes, because if they bat for another half an hour, 7 overs, scoring at 3 or 4 runs and over, that'll boost the lead to the triple figures. Maybe that's just a mentality thing, that you have to have a 100-run deficit when you're batting second.
What it also means is that the openers for Diamond Creek will have less preparation, as opposed to having, say, half an hour prior to the 1 o'clock start. They would instead have to field and then only get 10 minutes for the change of innings there to actually get themselves mentally ready to bat there. So maybe it's to test the opening batsman as well.
Yeah. The biggest problem that Diamond Creek have is they were bowled out for such a small total last week. If they had been bowled out for something like 70 or 80 or 90, then at least, considering how many overs were in the game and considering the runs that are required to bowl them out, the runs are required to win by an innings and the time that's needed to bowl them out twice, they at least were in the game to save it. But because they're bowled out for such a small total, even though Lower Plenty did a rather mediocre job in their batting, they are still so far ahead of the game that they're still in complete control. And so that goes to show that the difference between bowled out for 40 and being bowled out for 80 is monumental in terms of the dynamic power struggle of any 2-day game of cricket.
Well, exactly right there, and considering that Lower Plenty's first wicket was at the 60-run mark, so well after they'd passed the score there, and then since then they've lost wickets to lose about 5 for 60. So imagine if Diamond Creek had 110 or so on the board and they took their first wicket then, could have put the pressure on, actually put the actual results as a question mark, as opposed to what we're stating today, which is just will Lower Plenty win outright, and it's a yes or no answer there. So you're exactly right, 43 is just too low. The fact we spent all of the telecasts actually looking through the history books to see where it would fit amongst Diamond Creek's lowest ever scores amongst their club history, that says a lot about how poor it was. The fact is that really only Sean Russell could hold his head up high, the only batsman to face any moderate amount of deliveries there, getting over the 50 mark, which is reasonable for an opener, but just had no support.
Absolutely. So the most interesting part of last week's play was the final half an hour before stumps and after the drinks break, which is when Diamond Creek turned everything around, taking 3 wickets. The run rate was retarding, the boundary rate was retarding, and suddenly Diamond Creek were actually on top of the game in terms of making the batsmen do what they wanted them to do. And it goes to show that, they weren't doing anything special. It was just Trainer bowling some in-swingers, Merritt and Russell bowling some good spin bowling. And so they were just doing good defensive bowling, and they were doing an excellent job. And suddenly Lower Plenty's momentum going into stumps was shaken, and instead of getting a lead of about 100, their lead is only about 70. So it's quite strange that such a good session came after such a shocking 3 sessions previously.
Oh, exactly right there. And what's probably most pleasing for Diamond Creek, if they are going to take positives for the game, is that it wasn't their veteran bowlers who brought them back into the game. If you look at the regulars like your Ramseys, your Pearces and your Farahs, they're the ones over the years who have actually had to bring them back into games there. But this time it was actually their younger bowlers. We've got Merritt, who's just out of juniors, Petrosino just out of juniors, and same with Trainer as well. Russell's a little bit older than that trio there, but it actually shows there's a bit of bowling depth there, which they showed a little bit in the derby, the previous game as well there, but they've certainly come alight as well there against some really quality opposition, so some good signs there.
If Lower Plenty decide to continue to bat, I would suspect that this is a situation where the best form of offense is defense, where Lower Plenty are trying to score quick runs and then declare. So if you can stop them from scoring quick runs, you put the pressure on them, you get the wickets chances, and suddenly the entire mentality of the Lower Plenty captain is thrown out. And so I would imagine having at least a couple of men on the fence trying to get dot balls, not try and take wickets, just try and be as defensive as possible and put the pressure on Lower Plenty to force the game forward, would at least bring Diamond Creek as at least a competitor. They're not just having the situation dictated to them, they're still a participant in this contest.
Well, exactly right. They were bullied for a lot of the first half of the game and certainly into the start of the second session. So I do like your thinking. I would think that perhaps they looked at Ramsey-Russell, that combination there. So Ramsey with his medium to medium fast pace there, getting that line of length there and having that ring field. And then for Russell, giving him that sweeper on the leg side boundary, but then everyone else as a ring. Probably you don't even need a slip at this point in time there for an off spinner, although maybe they'll consider one as opposed to a short third man. But those would be the 2 bowls I would look to go to. Probably even for the whole time there. They could certainly bowl for the entire time before Lower Plenty declare, or if Lower Plenty declared straight away, it's obviously null and void.
Okay, so that is the match situation. We're just going to have to wait and see what Lower Plenty decide to do, but that will start once play gets underway. And so now this is an absolutely amazing day for cricket. The Weather Bureau says that it's going to be 26 degrees. There's an infinitesimal chance of rain, and even if there is rain, it'll be tiny. And so the sky is just nice blue. The white clouds are just a small little vapor around the boundary on the horizon, and the sun is really shining down on us. It's very bright. The sky is just gorgeous, like I said, and there is just a gentle southerly breeze, which is just enough to keep you cool. I mean, as far as cricket conditions go, this is about the perfect day you could imagine. There's no chance of it being interfered, either be with wetness or hot, and it's just a perfect play to be either for batting or fielding. Maybe it's a little bit hot for fielding if you're going to be spending the whole day in the field, but it's just an amazing day for cricket, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens today.
Should be a fascinating afternoon's cricket there, and like you said, perfect weather.
Okay, so now it's time to take a break. So we are at day 2 of round 3 in the F2 division. Diamond Creek 2 versus Lower Plenty at the Mangrook Oval. You are watching Channel 8, the local sports network, in association with Bizz, 99.9 FM, Substitute Radio. I'm Chukka Wilson and I'm joined by Haydos.
So the location being here, let's wait for the action to take place.
Alright, let's take a break, and when we come back, we've got more of the morning show.
Was I drawn into your orbit, or were you drawn into mine? In any case, you've given me a new reason to shine. The circles we're revolving, spinning recklessly around, growing tighter by the hour, till the flash and then the sound, and for a moment two are one, glowing with the brilliance of a multiplying sun. But even stars will one day fall, and I won't shed a tear, 'cause for a time we had it all. In a darker time I floated like a lantern in the sky, alone until the moment that I saw you flying by. I don't know where you came from or the way the wind will blow. I only know I'll follow you no matter where you go. And when the candles start to fade, slowly we'll descend, but I will never be afraid. And even as we start to fall, I won't shed a tear, 'cause for a time we had it all. When I met you at the bus stop, I was waiting for a ride. Instead I found a future when you sat by me inside. All the roads that we have traveled through the land and in our lives, returning like a spiral as the dimming sun arrives. And when the stars were all aligned, you pulled me in your orbit as I pulled you into mine. And when the time has come to fall, I won't shed a tear, 'cause for a time we had it all. For a time we had it all.
Welcome back. You are watching Channel 8, the local sports network, in association with Bizz, 99.9 FM, Substitute Radio. I'm Chukka Wilson, your host, and I'm here with my co-host, Damien, Hayden, Haydos, and now it's time to go around the grounds to the other things that are happening in the F2 division in round 3 after day 1 in the 2017-18 season. So let's go through them. First of all, Mill Park versus Diamond Creek 1. Mill Park are 0-2, Diamond Creek are 1-1. Diamond Creek won the toss and elected to field. Mill Park batted out their overs, compulsory closure after 68, with 4 for 239, with Johnson 100 not out and Cockshut 95 not out. The Diamond Creek bowlers, there was only 3 Diamond Creek bowlers who took wickets. Watson 1, Poon 1 and Ireland 1. And so Diamond Creek, thinking that they would be able to roll over Mill Park for a low score, have had an unpleasant surprise, with Mill Park scoring a very competitive total over the course of the entire day's play, and with a huge partnership between Johnson and Cockshut to really transform the game and put Diamond Creek 1 on the back foot. Haydos.
Oh look, it was actually really poor there from Diamond Creek. Just watching some of the highlights during the week there, they just were uncompetitive during that partnership there that you spoke about there between Johnson and also Scorecard. They just weren't good enough. Let's put it simply there. The fact they can only get 4 wickets across 68 overs there, it's quite simply not good enough there from Diamond Creek. Got a lot of work to head. Although it is still a chaseable score, you can get 240 there at Mill Park there, but obviously only one way to find out.
Yep. Okay, so the next game is Laylaw Stars, who are 1-1, playing against Lower Eltham, who are 2-0. Lower Eltham won the toss, and again, they elected to field. And Laylaw Stars also batted out their 68 overs, compulsory closure. They scored 6 for 251. And this time there were scores all around, so Watson 33, Toppy 27, Budgeton 36, Grek 46, Godino 53, and Cheney 45 not out. So contributions all across the scorecard for Laylaw Stars, getting 251 from their full overs. Among the Lower Eltham bowlers, Colas took 2 for 82, Andrews 2 for 12, and then 1 for Carey and Sporemic. So a good batting performance by Laylaw Stars. Once again, winning the toss and bowling first, not going the way the fielding team wanted.
You're exactly right there. Laylaw Stars are a little bit inconsistent there when it comes to their performances there. Their best is very good there, and they're certainly at their best there. And their worst is probably a little bit under par there for the F2 division there, but that was certainly amongst their best there. Got a deep bang light when it all goes to plan, and that was on show there. Lower of them are good enough, but you think the edge certainly to the Stars.
And finally, we've got the third game of the division, which is Riverside 1-1 versus the North Eltham Wanderers, which are also 1-1. North Eltham won the toss and batted first, and they were bowled out in the 52nd over for 147. Headley 42, Brown 34, Banks 21, and then double figures also for Drinkle. Among the Riverside bowlers, Martin took a mesmeric 7 for 39, and then Ryan came on near the end and bowled a how do you do 2 for none, and then the other one was taken by Muchele. So North Eltham Wanderers not scoring a very large score, and then Riverside batted out the rest of the day's play, getting 3 for 72. The only double-figure score for Riverside was Martin, who made 42, and then among the North Eltham Wanderers bowlers, Stamcombe took 2 for 11, and then the other one was taken by Drinkle, and so it looks like Riverside should be thinking that they'll be able to chase down this target. They've got about 70 runs to score with 7 wickets in hand, which certainly sounds doable.
You're exactly right there, and reality being is that both these sides are particularly strong in these lower grades. They generally have quite a bit of depth there. That's why we're seeing a mostly even contest. Certainly edge to the siders there, especially through Martin there with his, destined man of the match performance there, regardless of what happens early stages there. North Eltham can still get the job done. They'll have to bowl really well there in those, say, 20 or 25 overs where the game will be decided there. And it will be one perfect one for the F2ers where they'll finish nice and early and be able to call it off early. I don't think there's any chance of a second innings result.
What is interesting is that in terms of the diversity of the F2 division, it seems that the teams, even though they're the ones that are 0-2, are still being competitive, and even if you're 2-0, you're not guaranteed any victory. And so other than this game that we have right in front of us, where the top team is beating the lower team very comfortably, it seems like the rest of the league seems to be rather much more competitive, much more evenly matched.
You're exactly right there. I think today we've got the first placed and the bottom place sides when it comes to the end of the ladder. That's what I predict will end up being the case there. So this is the biggest gulf between sides there. As it comes to the rest of the season, I think the rest of those middle positions work themselves out there. But I certainly think we've got the 2 biggest gulfs there. So a little bit unfortunate we've got this one for our telecast, but not to worry, I'm sure it'll be a fascinating battle.
All right, thank you very much for that commentary, Haydos. So now it's time to take a break. You are watching day 2 of the round 3 clash in the F2 division in 2017. This is Diamond Creek 2 versus Lower Plenty at the Mungrook Oval. You are watching Channel 8, the local sports network, in association with our partners, Bizz 99.9 FM Substitute Radio. I am your host and lead commentator, Chukka Wilson, and I am joined by my co-host and co-commentator, Damien Hayden Haydos.
Should be a fascinating day's cricket.
All right, let's take a break now, and when we come back, we've got more of the morning show.
It starts with an itch and a tingle, and then it builds and expands. And suddenly, all at once, my legs won't let me stand. I scratch till my fingers go numb, but my skin never bleeds. A silent accomplice waits and feeds when I'm asleep. There's something that lives inside me. I promise I never let it end. It grows and divides inside me. It's making a home beneath my skin. The seeds have been buried deeply. The roots are in place. It's bright in the sun and it's dark in my days. I've taken it all for granted, and now it's too late. There's nothing that's left to do but wait. There's something that lives inside me. I promise I never let it end. It grows and divides inside me. It's making a home beneath my skin. Starts with an itch and a tingle, and then it builds and expands. And suddenly, all at once, my legs won't let me stand. I scratch till my fingers go numb, but my skin never bleeds. A silent accomplice waits and feeds when I'm asleep. There's something that lives inside me. I promise I never let it end. It grows and divides inside me. It's making a home beneath my skin.
Okay, so what happened last week? So Diamond Creek 2 versus Lower Plenty. Diamond Creek 2 batted first, all out, after 21.2 overs for 43. So, Farah scored 4, Dwyer 0, Mackenzie 0, Petrosino 1, Pollitt 0. And that gives you a sense of how bad they started off. The opening wickets fell at 1 for 13, 2 for 13, 3 for 13, 4 for 16, and then 5 for 16. Then there was a bit of a partnership between Ramsey and Russell, where the score, that was about worth 20, that partnership, and so the score moved up into the mid-30s. And then another blow-away happened, where you had Russell out for 15, Ramsey out for 7, Trainer 0, Stephen 0, and then Pearce out for 9. And so the final 5 wickets, which happened after the drinks break, were 6 for 35, 7 for 35, 8 for 35, 9 for 35, and then 10 for 44. So the last partnership between Merritt and Pearce actually was one that really saved Diamond Creek from a record low score. So amongst the lower plenty bowlers, they only needed 4 bowlers, so the captain O'Connor didn't actually need to bowl himself. So Lacey, 8 overs, 6 maidens, 2 for 2. McKinnon, 6 overs, 1 maiden, 3 for 18. Anderson was the outstanding bowler, 4.2 overs, 2 maidens, 4 for 10. And then Caldera only getting the 1 wicket, which was disappointing in relative comparison to his teammates. 3 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 7. He was also one of the most expensive, going at 2 runs and over when most others were going at 1. So all out Diamond Creek for just 43 in a short time after the drinks break. So they'd only batted for the first quarter of the day's play, scoring a score of less than 50. One of the lowest scores, and the only player to score double figures was Russell with 15, and then the next best was Pearce with 7 and Ramsey for Pearce for 9 and then Ramsey for 7. So it was a monumentally disappointing score for Diamond Creek 2.
You were exactly right there. The fact that lower play flex their muscles throughout basically the course of the whole innings there, which you don't often see, but the reality being is that even Diamond Creek's best with the bat wasn't enough to put lower play under any sort of pressure. Their bowling changes weren't forced by the batsmen. They were merely to give bowlers a rest there and to bring on their second change bowlers there. It was just really a complete performance there from O'Connor and the lower plenty side there. The fact that their bowlers were able to change their roles. So we saw early McKinnon playing the attacking role and Lacey just pulling on a line of length, and then when McKinnon got rested, it was up to Lacey then to be the attacker, and he did, and he got 2 wickets in consecutive deliveries there. So it was very professional bowling performance there from lower play.
It's one of those situations where one of the bowlers is the workhorse and the other bowler gets to cash in, because I felt that Lacey was the one who really set the terms of play, bowling incredibly accurate, always hitting that short of a length, just about at the off-stump region where you can't drive it, you can't cut it, you can't pull it, and if you block it, you risk the ball swinging away from you and getting the outside edge. It was just terrific opening bowling from Lacey, but he wasn't actually getting as many wickets, only getting 2 wickets from his 48 deliveries bowled. And then it was the 2 attacking bowlers of McKinnon and Anderson who ended up taking the big bags, with McKinnon's aggressive bowling taking the early wickets, and then in the second half of the innings it was Anderson wrapping up the tail with especially hitting the stumps repeatedly, and then Caldera got the other one. But yeah, I definitely think it was bowling in partnerships. One bowler is more defensive and setting the terms of play, and then the other one is trying to actually make the batsman do stupid things and get the wickets.
Exactly right there, and aside from the final leg fiasco, which we talked about throughout the telecast there, it was almost all perfect there from O'Connor there. Certainly had the right level of attacking field, and certainly did also cut down the runs with a bit of a ring as well there. So got a lot of it right. It was probably only that final leg which cost him probably half the score in the end, with the boundaries and extra runs going over a short final legs field ahead.
Okay, and so lower plenty were able to actually get able to win the game on first innings before the end of the lunch break. Scoring the runs but none down, and that's when they went to lunch, and then they ended up were able to bat after lunch, losing 5 wickets, 1 for 61, 2 for 78, 3 for 100, 4 for 103, and then 5 for 120, with Macca 43, Anderson 33, and Nice 13, and the 2 not outs are Lacey and Caldera.
This is a bit of that middle order that was tested there when it came to the where Diamond Creek got back on top there. So you're seeing these guys batting for the first time this summer there, coming into the start of November there. You would like to hope for, as a batsman, you get a chance to bat in October, but lower playing being so good that they haven't had that opportunity there. So it's all a little bit new, the batting for this season there, but certainly you think you'd have batted enough in pre-season that would put up probably better performance than what they have so far.
Yep, so Pearce, 5 overs, no maidens, none for 30. Ramsey, 7 overs, 4 maidens, none for 6. Farah, 6 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 8. Russell, 8 overs, 2 maidens, none for 20. Merritt, 8 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 8. Petrosino, 8 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 29. And Trainer, 4 overs, no maidens, 1 for 10. And so, as we said earlier in the telecast, everything went well for Lower Plenty at the start, none for 60. But then after the drinks break for the final quarter of the day's play, which was about half an hour or 7 overs worth, it really turned around. And they were able to get 3 wickets and reduce the scoring rate.
You're exactly right there. So they definitely did a really good fight back there. And they're actually going to bowl straight away here, which is a little bit of a surprise. But we'll soon see how it goes.
Okay, so now we're going to take a break, and when we get back, we are going to see ball 1. So you're watching Channel 8.
You take coffee with your cream, you squeak like a teen, and the Hugh Grant stuff you've watched enough, you mumble it in your dreams. You rock out on a broom and mangle some tunes. On weekends you dance in jammy pants until the afternoon. And I know it's hard to think that someone could be in sync with all your eccentricities. You're perfect in the perfect way. You're perfect and I hope you stay. Your goofy little self eternally. Oh, I'm weird like you, I know it's true. I'm in the clouds up there with you. You think you're flawed, but wouldn't you agree? You're perfect for me. You talk to yourself and answer as well. You read ahead on Walking Dead before you watch the show. You eat bread with fur, you still call me sir. There's a piece of gum from 91 that's hiding in your purse. But no matter what I sing, I wouldn't change a thing. You're my postmodern masterpiece. You're perfect in the perfect way. You're perfect and I hope you stay. Your goofy little self eternally. Oh, I'm weird like you, I know it's true. I'm in the clouds up there with you. You think you're flawed, but wouldn't you agree? You're perfect for me. Ba, 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 ba. Your mind and mine are strangely intertwined, and that's just a-okay with me. You're perfect in the perfect way. You're perfect and I hope you stay. Your goofy little self eternally. Oh, I'm weird like you, I know it's true. I'm in the clouds up there with you. You think you're flawed, but wouldn't you agree? You're perfect for me.